At the beginning of the story, we see a storm rising from the sea. But today, it wasn't raining water, it was raining plastic and other waste. At this moment, we see Barbara and her daughter in a car passing along the road. Shocked by this strange sight, Barbara called her ex-husband. As soon as Buckley answered the phone, he told them to return immediately. However, halfway through, they got stuck in traffic. Barbara told her daughter to run into a nearby building. Standing outside, Buckley saw that an anchor was about to fall on his daughter. He immediately ran forward and saved her. A short while later, Barbara arrived as well, and the whole family was reunited. The authorities had no way to stop this bizarre situation. Everyone could only watch the sky filled with plastic. Among the garbage that rose from the sea was the Titanic, which, after 114 years, finally reached New York. All these strange events began when some fishermen went out to sea to catch fish. As soon as they cast their nets, along with the fish, a marine creature was caught as well. After this, we see Buckley, who receives news of an oil leak in the ocean. He was assigned to work with the British military on a cleanup mission. On his way to the mission, he passed through London so he could safely drop his daughter Kirby off with her mother. After saying goodbye to his daughter and ex-wife, he went to the airport with Sergeant Hannah and boarded a military plane. Soon, he arrived at a secret location where the dead body of that sea creature was being kept. There it was discovered that the creature had been found about 3 miles away from the shore. When the fishermen saw the monster coming out of their net, they shot it. They then tried to sell its body on the internet, but the colonel took action at the right time, covered up the case, and bought the body so the army could research it. Pierce said that such sea creatures were mentioned in ancient stories. Their species was called Homo aqua. When scientists examined the body, they found a pearl beneath the creature's throat, exactly like the one found in a previously discovered specimen. To communicate with these underwater beings, the army set up camps in the mountains and sent signals using a machine. After dark, while everyone else was asleep, Morgan and Sarah were assigned to guard the body of the Homo aqua. Around 2:30 a.m., both of them sensed that something was wrong. Suddenly, water began to fill the ground, and Sarah started sinking as she moved forward. Morgan tried to save her and reached out his hand, but something forcefully dragged Sarah downward. Within seconds, Morgan was pulled down in the same way. Before going under, he called for help, but the other soldiers did not arrive in time. At the same time, the body was stolen. An alarm went off, and all the soldiers woke up and rushed to see what had happened. When the general reached the tent, Morgan and Sarah were nowhere to be found. When he tried to contact them over the radio, he realized that the radio was underground. After the monsters left, the ground had hardened again. As Pierce bent down to check, he found Morgan's hand. At that moment, Buckley understood that he had been sent on an extremely dangerous mission. He asked what kind of creature this was. Hannah explained that their team's job was to communicate with unknown beings. But Homo aqua were not aliens. They had existed on Earth even before humans and had lived underwater for thousands of years. Now, they had awakened again and wanted to reclaim the planet. That night, the army saw a Homo aqua approaching the shore. The general ordered his soldiers to lower their guns because he wanted to talk. With the help of a translation device, Pierce spoke to the creature and invited it to a meeting. The creature was furious because one of its people had been killed by fishermen. Pierce replied that he had lost 2 of his soldiers as well. After this, both sides agreed to a peace agreement so that neither group would kill the other. Even after the agreement, the fishman said that his people were tired of living in hiding. At that moment, people across the world began seeing Homo aqua emerge for the first time. They said they had existed long before humans. This world belonged to them, too. The first official meeting between the two species was held in London. For this meeting, a bridge called Waterway was built, connecting land and water. When everyone took their positions, Kate ordered the engineers to activate the waterway. Along with the Homo aqua, 3 other large and strange beings arrived: a giant fish, a mermaid, and a woman who looked human. In a short time, Salt learned the human language and began to understand what the ambassador was saying. At the start of the meeting, Salt explained why she had come herself. Some time ago, her children were about to be born, but oil spilled from human ships had poisoned that area. To keep the meeting calm, Jonathan said that they wanted to correct their mistake, but Salt ignored him. She said she would only speak to Burke because he was the only human who had shown respect to the dead Homo aqua. To understand why the Homo aqua wanted Barclay as their ambassador, Kate interrogated him and examined every detail of his life. Jonathan's attempt to become the ambassador between the two species failed because Salt was willing to talk only to Burke. That is why the president of their unit told Burke, "I will prepare you for this opportunity." When Burke arrived at the hotel where he was supposed to stay for a few days, he saw that security there was extremely tight. In his room, his daughter and his ex-wife were already waiting for him. When Barbara learned that Burke had been chosen to negotiate with the Homo aqua, she was shocked. Meanwhile, Kate was thinking about what they would do if a war broke out. At the scheduled time, Burke went to meet the Homo Aqua. After the initial conversation, Salt asked the committee members for a glass of water from the River Thames. The agents immediately stood up to fetch it. As soon as the glass of water entered the room, Burke tried to hand it to Salt, but Salt said, "This water is for you." Hearing this, Burke was shaken. He didn't know what to do. Instead of drinking the water, he began to deliver a speech written on the screen. But when Salt said, "I don't want this memorized speech," the ambassador abandoned the script and said that polluted water and soil were the result of human foolishness. Admitting his people's mistakes, Burke said that humans had ruined the earth, but now they wanted to repair the damage. Hearing this, Salt said, "I like you." That night in the hotel room, Burke saw his daughter come in and realized she couldn't sleep. The truth was that she was worried about her father. When Buckley noticed that his daughter didn't look well, he said, "Tomorrow I'll send you back home so you don't have to stay trapped in this hotel." Hearing this, Kirby said, "I want to stay with my dad." The next morning, during their third meeting, Burke explained that leaders from all the countries of the world had spoken with climate scientists and private companies, and they were trying to create a plan to improve the condition of the oceans. According to the numbers and data, the conclusion was that by the year 2065, pollution could be reduced by 50%. But when Salt learned that it would take 40 years just to reduce pollution by 50%, she completely rejected the proposal. She said, "Every day, our people are dying because of your carelessness." Salt added that her people could no longer see and hear properly and were suffering because humans were creating too much pollution. Burke felt that she was absolutely right. He had no option except to apologize. Then he said that if both species worked together on this mission, it might be completed faster. Salt replied that if they started helping, it would happen very quickly. Suddenly, a storm began, and at the same time, many countries witnessed changes in the oceans. All the waste that humans had thrown into the sea came back onto land that day. Plastic and huge amounts of garbage began falling from the sky, and the story returned to the point where it had begun. Despite the massive damage suffered by countries around the world, Barclay continued negotiations with the people of the sea because humans knew they could not win such a war. The good news was that Salt was still willing to talk. However, she said she would only have peace if humans accepted 3 conditions. The first condition was that no pollution of any kind should enter the sea, and that humans must stop operating their ships. The second condition was that clear borders should be created between land and sea, so that humans would not enter the oceans. Humans were meant to live on land. They should neither go into the sea nor into the skies above it. Hearing this, the committee members became furious, because it would cut off people living on all continents from one another. When Salt saw that the humans in the room were growing angrier, she changed her voice and took the form of a man to control them. As soon as everyone calmed down and returned to their seats, Salt reverted to her original form. Then she began to explain the third condition, which was essential for peace between humans and the sea people. For this, she provided specific ocean coordinates and said that the next meeting would take place there. This time, it was not just about traveling far into the sea. Burke would have to dive 5 miles down in order to meet the Homo Aqua in their own home. The next challenge was that going to such a depth was extremely difficult because the water pressure 5 miles below the surface is immense. To this day, no submarine has ever been built that can dive that deep. Nevertheless, Burke boarded the vessel along with General Piers and his team. The hatch was completely sealed with bolts. After launch, it took the submarine about 2.5 hours to reach the meeting point. During the journey, the 6 passengers began talking among themselves about what they would do once they returned home, if they survived. When Burke noticed that a man named Tad was extremely frightened, he tried to calm him down. While encouraging his teammates, Burke also tried to reassure himself. A few minutes later, the submarine came to a stop. Piers tried to contact his team to inform them that they had reached the required depth, but there was no response. Shortly afterward, the team felt that the submarine was moving at an unusually high speed, yet no one could understand what was happening because all contact with the surface had been completely lost. While checking the external pressure, Min realized that the pressure outside was exactly like that on land, which was impossible, because according to all logic, they were 5 miles underwater. Suddenly, the submarine shook, and all the lights went out, after which everyone put on their oxygen masks. When the hatch opened, they were astonished. No water entered the submarine. That is why they decided to step outside. Once outside, they saw that they were inside a cave where the temperature was around 21 degrees Celsius and the air contained plenty of oxygen. While the team stood there in shock, Salt appeared. She told them that they were the first humans ever to reach such a depth. This environment had been specially prepared for them, which was why they could remove their oxygen masks. Salt then took them to the meeting hall, where members of her species had gathered to decide the future of the land and the sea. That night, Kate received a call from one of her team members. She learned that coded communications had taken place among diplomats from several countries. While she was still on the call, a sniper attacked her. Her boyfriend saved her but lost his life in the process. At the same time, Tad, the only diplomat who had not removed his oxygen mask, presented Salt with a gift. When Burke realized that the globe was merely a cover and that something else was hidden inside, he immediately lunged forward to pull it away from Salt. But the bomb exploded. In the blast, many sea people were killed, and all the members of Burke's team died as well. Only Burke survived because Salt saved him. As Shirley was dispatching a squad on a gate mission, she received news that the diplomats on the mission had been killed, and she immediately informed the media. After the news broke, the world was shown a video that made it appear as though Salt had deliberately killed Burke and his team, and that any human who entered the sea would meet the same fate. However, the truth was that the video was fake. The government had done this to spread hatred between the two species. Swimming rapidly toward the surface, Salt saw that a helicopter had been sent to rescue Burke. As soon as Burke reached land, he explained that the blast had been caused by Tad. Kate believed Burke, but said that Salt would still need to be interrogated. For the time being, Salt was taken into custody. Kate then quickly began investigating who had paid that man. It turned out he had stage 4 cancer and was willing to do anything to complete the mission. Thanks to Salt's quick thinking, her species was not blamed. However, she was now locked inside a steel container. When Burke learned that his friend had been locked in a lab and experiments would be conducted on her, he took action. Taking the truck keys, he reversed the vehicle and pushed the container into the river. As soon as Salt was freed, Burke jumped into the water as well, and Salt saved him. That night, the Homo Aqua called a new meeting at the Imperial House. This time, instead of Salt, a seaman named Tide appeared. He said that humans had gone mad, to the point that they had killed their own people in an explosion. When Kate apologized to him, Tide asked, "Where is Salt?" He declared that she was a traitor to their people. She had saved a human instead of her own kind. When he learned that Salt had escaped with Burke's help and was now missing, Tide ordered that she be found and brought back. If this did not happen, he warned, the real war would begin. While the entire city was searching for them, Salt and Burke were hiding in an abandoned warehouse. Salt was celebrating her freedom. While talking to Burke, she asked why he had risked his life. Suddenly, the two of them kissed each other. The truth was that they had fallen in love, but Burke was still worried about Salt. He told her that she should return to the sea. However, Salt knew that if she did, her own people would call her a traitor and kill her. After hearing all this, Burke came to the conclusion that they would have to leave the city. He took help from his partner and stole a young boy's mobile phone so that he could contact Barbara, his ex-wife, because she now seemed to be the only one who could help them. However, instead of helping Burke, Barbara shared the call with government agents and called both of them to a meeting place so that Burke could be captured. When Burke saw Barbara packing her car, he ran toward the bridge with Salt, where the two of them were surrounded. At that very moment, one of the men from Kate's team revealed that the video showing Salt starting a war against humans was fake. As soon as she heard this, Kate ordered her soldiers to stand down, but General Gunsberg stubbornly insisted that the woman must be stopped. When Kate realized that the general might even kill Salt if necessary, she ordered her team to immediately change their target and point their guns at the British soldiers instead. Just as the two forces were about to clash, Salt suddenly let out a piercing scream and jumped into the river. That night, the Homo Aqua began producing a sound so powerful that it drew all the dogs from the nearby coastal cities into the sea, where they were captured using fishing nets. The next day, when people asked about the animals, Tide said, "We ate them, just the way humans eat fish from the sea." After analyzing satellite images, scientists discovered that the Homo Aqua were actually melting glaciers. If nothing changed, Antarctica would lose 300 billion tons of ice every year. If that happened, sea levels would rise by about 1,600 feet in a short time, and almost all humans would drown. Jonathan then began negotiating with Tide to find a way to save humanity. Tide replied that humans had only 5 years to completely fix the planet. If the damage was not repaired within that time, the entire human species would be wiped out. "You people," he said, "are simply not fit to live on this planet." Meanwhile, the authorities were deciding what to do with Burke and kept him under surveillance inside a hotel room. One day, after eating, Burke suddenly lost consciousness, and scientists entered his room. While he was unconscious, they injected him with something and took his fingerprints so that he could later be framed under false charges. As soon as the scientists left, Burke regained consciousness and quietly went toward the shore, hoping that he might find Salt. After sunrise, the fishwoman appeared, and Burke ran toward her, relieved to see that she was alive. Instead of escaping with him, Salt told him to negotiate a new agreement with Tide. Otherwise, her people would destroy the entire human race. Saying this, she prepared to leave. Before going, she kissed Burke and returned to the sea. Burke immediately went to Kate and her team to send a message to Tide, but unfortunately there was no response. A few days later, millions of Homo aqua corpses were found along coastlines around the world. Tests revealed that they had been infected by a disease that shut down their gills, making them unable to breathe underwater, causing them to drown. Strangely, the disease affected only the Homo aqua. Other sea creatures were completely unharmed. Hearing this, Kate concluded that it was likely a man-made virus and regretted not realizing it sooner. That same day, Kate's team received a distress signal from the depths of the ocean, and Burke was once again called for a meeting. When he learned that Salt was coming to speak with him, he burst into tears with joy and could barely stop himself from hugging her. The end of the conflict was officially announced. Salt revealed that only 10% of their population had survived. She said that those responsible for this cowardly attack would be punished by the sea itself. To rebuild relations between the two species, Kate devised a plan and selected a special location. She told them that they could live there. It was the deepest ocean on Earth, free from human pollution and contamination. Before leaving, Salt showed the tragic fate of her friend and explained that her people were ending the war because those who remained were deeply frightened by human cruelty. "We cannot compete with humans," she said, "because deceit and cunning are not in our nature." As soon as the Homo aqua departed, cracks began to form in the glass panels of the great hall that kept the water out. Everyone panicked and tried to escape. Burke calmly waited for his end, but Hannah saved him. That day, Kate received Burke's medical test results and discovered that his DNA had changed. His genes had become similar to those of the Homo aqua. Upon learning this, Kate decided that he should be taken to the sea so that he could meet Salt again. After kissing Salt, Burke suddenly developed gills, allowing him to breathe underwater as well. Now he had the chance to choose his destiny, and he decided to remain in the sea with Salt. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel,